Okay. So we already calculated your P1 grades nya gagmay jud ang inyong grade no originally, and then we adjusted it. What we did is akong gi-announce is to calculate your P1 grade is you have to kanang total your scores, your post for lecture is yung post lecture quizzes scores plus your long exams and your P1 lecture. Anya, you total it divided by the perfect score, total perfect score for all of those, and then times 100 mo na inyong P1 lecture lab, P1 lecture grade. And then ang P1 lab is ang lab activity scores plus your P1 lab exam. Unya, i-total po siya, okay, divide sa perfect score times 100 mo na inyong P1 lab grade. So, if you have the two grades, the P1 lecture grade and the P1 lab grade, get 60% of the lecture, get 40% of the lab, that will be your P1 grade. Pero, sa among upon checking, no, daghan o wala nakapass if we would do that grading system. So what we did is we separated your class standing, meaning everything except your major exam, except your P1 exam, that is your class standing. We got 75% of that, and then your exam is only 25% weight for your P1 grade. So your exam gihapon nga your P1 grade is still 60-40, 60% ang lecture weight, 40% ang lab sa inyong P1 exam grade. But sa P1 grade, total P1 grade, 25% na lang ang weight sa exam. So to show you is wait lang. Akong kita ha. I will share your grades. Originally mo ang kaning blue na column. Okay, so mo na siya. So originally kanang blue na column diha mo na ang inyong P1 grade. Gagmay jud siya no. So when we adjusted it, so ikuhaan na mo 75% weight ang total class scores ninyo, meaning from your post-quiz to your lab exercises to your long quizzes, ikuha na mo ang 75% ato, and then 25% is your P1 exam, lec, and lab. So, mo na ang inyong P1 grade. This is your P1 grade. So, dili na kayo siya inguna na ka saklap. Di na mo makahilak ng tanaw sa inyong grade. Although, nagyapay gagmay grades no kay na ay mga wala nagpass sa laboratories, activities. So, wala nag-answer o post quizzes. So, kanang green absences or walay output na sila. And then the yellow mark is the late. Late na siya. So, mo na siya ang inyong present standing karon sa GenPath. So, if you want to pass pa sa inyong laboratory, katong naa didto, if ganahan pa mo pass, i-message lang ninyo si Miss Joanna na ni-pass mo, gi-attach ninyo inyong outputs sa inyong subfolders para ma-record ang inyong scores para mapun-an ang inyong P1 grade, guys. We will base man your laboratory outputs dito sa subfolder kay di ba individual man ang inyong pag-pass. So, check siya individually if kompleto ba ang inyong mga output. So, kung ganahan pa mo saka pa yung grade, katong mga missing na submissions, you pass it and then you let Miss Joanna um, know nga ni pass pa mo. Better late than zero, di ba? So, at least na may score na ma-add. Okay. So, mo lang to. It was the update. Supposedly, mo post mi sa yung P1 grade dito sa Ames, but close man ang Ames. Oy, ambot. Kapoy po og sige contact sa IT for them to open the grade sheet. So, I showed you our night transparency, that is your grades. And then, um, advantage on our end, na pa na mo na encode sa Ames kay aron if naay adjustments later on after sa atong RBE, ma-adjust pa na mo. So, pwede pa siya ma-change if ever lang may adjustments kay. With regards to RBE manggod, 50% na siya ang weight sa RBE. Compare nimo sa P1 and P2. Naman din P3 no. So P1, P2, P3 and then RBE is 50%. So dili kayo dakong impact ang P1 and P2 and P3. It's only murag mahog na lang na siya nga around 17% man siguro na siya each for the final na mo contribute sa final grade. So dapat jud dakuon ninyong maayong inyong RBE kay it's 50% of your final grade. So diha makita ang kung should it pull up or pull down your grades no sa final grading ninyo. So paningkamot mo if naning na mo daan sa P1, P2, P3, mas magnaning jud mo sa inyong RBE because it's 50%. Anyway, sige. Ora to, you can message me personally if you have questions or inquiries. No, you can message me later on. Basta office hours lang. Ay lang ko yung message o gabi ikan. Kapoy reply. Dili na ting trabaho ang gabi. So, office hours, weekdays, you can message me. If di ko maka-reply, mo reply ragid ko eventually. Wait lang mo na mo-acknowledge ko sa inyong message. Sige. Sugod na ta. This is a short topic kay part 1 pa lang ni siya sa hemodynamic pathology. This is our first lecture for P2. So, we will talk about mainly edema and effusion for the part 1, and then next week, the part 2, will talk about embolism and others. So, hemodynamics is important in patho because diri nato mahibaw-an ang kanang pathophysiology why mag-edema ang person and how important it is ang circulatory function in order for organs to be well perfused, dili mag-infarction, dili mag-hypoxia ang organs if maayo ang imong hemodynamic function. So for today's objectives, we will describe the normal process of capillary exchange and the role of plasma proteins in retaining fluid within the vasculature. And then we will explain the different pathophysiology of edema. We will differentiate hyperemia and congestion. And we will define hemostasis and explain its role in preventing excessive bleeding after vascular injury. So, definition. So, nakaagi na ta ani na mga terms during sa inflammation and sa cell adaptations, edema, increased fluid in the extracellular matrix, hyperemia is increased blood flow, congestion is increased accumulation, hemorrhage is extravasation, hemostasis is a stoppage of the blood flow, thrombosis is clotting of blood in the circulatory system. Infarction is local death of tissue due to obstruction of blood supply, and then shock is circulatory failure or collapse. So again, the health of the cells and tissue depends on the circulation of blood that will deliver your oxygen and nutrients and will remove waste products generated by cell metabolism. So if the hemodynamic function is abnormal, so the circulation of blood will be affected as well. So ma-affected po ang delivery of oxygen and nutrients and waste waste removal or disposal sa imuhang overall na cell function because naay problema sa hemodynamic function. Okay, so kani siya nga image, no, it will be explained later on. But to give you a short explanation for this is in the capillaries, dinha mo sugod ang generation of your glucose, your cellular contents, water, oxygen. So diha sa capillaries sila with high pressure of blood flowing in the capillaries, they will seep out in the capillary wall. Ang endothelium nimo mo open up. It will go to the tissue fluids, the cells, and then it will go to the lymphatic vessels to be filtered if they mga waste products, and then it will re-enter to the capillary by osmosis, and then it will then distribute to the veins via your low pressure blood na dayon padong sa veins. So sa capillary lang siya mag-high pressure para maka-seep out siya and maka-distribute siya sa mga tissues and lymph. So what will happen if there is accumulation of fluid? So these are your categories of edema. So we will tackle that one by one. Unsay mga under those categories. So the 5 major categories is increase in hydrostatic pressure, there is reduced plasma osmotic pressure, or there is loss of protein, hypoproteinemia in the blood, there is lymphatic obstruction, there is sodium retention, and there is inflammation. So the hydrostatic blood pressure forces your water out, so it pushes your fluid out from your capillaries via your arterial end of the blood vessel. But the plasma oncotic pressure is opposite. No, this is attributed by your albumin. It sucks water back into your capillary at the venous portion of your blood vessel. So a small amount of the fluid drains from the tissues through your lymphatic circulations with a much higher hydrostatic pressure, which removes excess fluid. So under normal conditions, as blood passes through the capillary beds, proteins in the plasma are retained within the vasculature, and there is little net movement of water and electrolytes into your tissues. And then with the disturbances from your cardiovascular, renal, or hepatic function, there will be accumulation of blood in the tissues, which is your edema, and of course, your body into your body cavities, which will cause your effusion. So, ato lang na siya i-define one by one as we go along. So, edema, this is your accumulation of fluid into your tissues. And then your effusion is accumulation of fluid into your body cavities. So naa na pod si exudate and transudate. So you know that if it's inflammatory in nature, most likely the effusion or the edema fluid that will accumulate is an exudate because of increased vascular permeability. So there is more protein accumulated, protein rich exudates, yeah. Whereas if that is a transudate, it is more of non-inflammatory siya. It is due to kanang mga organ dysfunction like your heart failure or liver failure or renal disease or malnutrition. Okay. There are there are various causes of your edema. So increase in hydrostatic pressure. So the normal hydrostatic pressure at the arteriolar end of your capillaries is ab- about 28 to 35 mmHg. And at the venular end of the capillaries, it's about 15 to 17. So the increase in that venous pressure exceeds that of the plasma oncotic pressure. So the water remains in the tissue. So if there is local increase in hydrostatic pressure, it will result in impaired venous outflow, and then the DVT, deep vein thrombosis in your lower extremities will lead to edema, which is restricted mostly on the dependent parts, which is one of which is your lower limbs. And then the generalized increase in venous pressure is the there is ano siya, systemic edema, like your congestive heart failure, more affecting the left ventricle. So this is the first cause of your edema. So the mechanism of your edema is when congestive heart failure is associated with your reduced cardiac output, and therefore it will reduce renal perfusion. So kung mag-renal hypoperfusion na siya, it will signal your RAAS, your renal angiotensin aldosterone system, or your renal angiotensin aldosterone axis, which will include sodium and water retention by your kidneys. So the process is putatively designed to increase your intravascular volume and thereby improve your cardiac output. So that is your Frank-Starling law with restoration of your normal perfusion. If the failing heart cannot increase the cardiac output, so the extra fluid load will result in increased venous pressure. So eventually, repeated bouts of that na magsige siyang increase ang venous pressure but wala ni increase ang cardiac output because there is heart failure, mo result na dahil na siya into your edema. So heart failure because of reduced cardiac output, reduced renal blood flow, and then mo increase ang imong venous pressure. So magsige lang siya og retain sa imuhang fluid, and then dili siya maka compensate. So mo na mag-edema siya ang mga patients with cardiac failure or your congestive heart failure. The second reason for edema is your reduced plasma oncotic pressure, which is there is decreased total protein or inadequate synthesis, like in your liver disease or malnutrition, or increased loss of albumin like in your nephrotic syndrome. So kanang bata nga na yung puffy eyelids, that is your um, patient with nephrotic syndrome, there is excessive loss of your proteins, your albumin. So mag-hypoproteinemia, there is protein-losing gastroenteropathy or protein-losing glomerulopathies, rather, sorry. So the normal colloid osmotic pressure kanang nasa square is about 20 to 25, mainly because of your albumin. So it is an opposing force to your hydrostatic pressure. And then normally at the arterial end, the filtration of these tissue fluids occur because the hydrostatic pressure is higher than the osmotic pressure. So at the venous end, the osmotic pressure is higher than the hydrostatic pressure. So bali. So sa arterial, no, the hydrostatic pressure is higher than the osmotic. But if you see at the venous end on the right side, the osmotic pressure is higher compared to your hydrostatic pressure. So it will result in the withdrawal of your tissue fluid. So therefore, if naay hypoproteinemia, um, nga naa sa osmotic pressure, no, hypoproteinemia is mainly due to your albumin man. So if there is hypoproteinemia, so there will be a fall in your osmotic pressure. So dili na siya sa venous end nimo, instead nga higher si osmotic pressure, mahimo na siyang ubos ang pressure, there is a fall, mo na mag-edema siya. And there will be low plasma albumin concentration, which will reduce the plasma oncotic pressure so that the water cannot be sucked back into the capillary bed at the venous end. So in the table, mo na siya, the causes of hypoproteinemia or reduce in plasma osmotic pressure is your nephrotic syndrome, which is your protein-losing glomerulopathy due to excessive albumin loss that will be measured in your urine sample. So if nakasuway na mong urinalysis, na ay parameter din ha for urine glucose and urine albumin. So kanang naay mga nephrotic syndrome, no, so moabot na sila as high as +3 or +4 ang reading sa ilang albumin sa ihi if they have nephrotic syndrome because quantitatively it's about 3 grams or 3,000 milligrams of protein that is lost, no, in a few hours if you have nephrotic syndrome mo na mag-edema na sila because there is a fall of your osmotic pressure in your venous end of your capillaries, and then the water cannot be sucked back into the capillary bed. So, mo na siya mainana siya. And then other causes is your liver cirrhosis, which will lead to reduced albumin synthesis. So, diha man ma-synthesize si albumin sa liver. If there is cirrhotic liver, ma-impair ang production or synthesis of your albumin. So, mag-reduce osmotic pressure gihapon kaana. And then malnutrition in kwashiorkor. And then there is also your protein-losing gastroenteropathy. So the third cause of your edema is your sodium and water retention. Sodium retention, salt retention may occur with any acute reduction of renal function. And then the sodium and water retention is clearly contributory factors in several forms of edema. With increased salt, there is also obligate accompanying water. So wherever salt goes, water follows na siya. It will cause increase in hydrostatic pressure because there is expansion of your intravascular fluid volume. And there is diminished vascular colloid osmotic pressure, which is due to your dilution. So conditions like renal insufficiency will lead to renal hypoperfusion and will increase your RAAS, your renin, angiotensin, aldosterone secretion. Okay. The fourth cause is your lymphatic obstruction. It will prevent the drainage of water from your tissues. So the important causes of which is your trauma, fibrosis, invasive tumors, infectious agents, and surgery. So infectious agents like your parasitic infection shown in the image, in the right side, mas dako iyang tiil, that is actually your elephantiasis or your filariasis. That is, wait, guys. Uh, so, it will cause impairment in your lymphatic drainage and will cause massive lymphedema in the inguinal region. So, that is caused by a parasite, filariasis. And then for surgery, example of which is the removal of your axillary lymph nodes in breast cancer. So the affected side. If it's example, if it's on the left breast, ang left side sa imong arm tanggalon pud na ang lymph nodes. That is your lymph node seeding, which will cause lymph obstruction kay gi-remove naman to ang mga lymph nodes, so di naka-flow ang iyahang excess lymph, so mag-edema ang kato na side sa arm. Sahay mag-infection siya, mag-lymphadenitis. So kani mo ni siya si elephantiasis, filariasis, a parasitic infection affecting your inguinal lymphatics, which will result to that. So other cause of lymph obstruction is resection or radiation of your axillary lymphatics, and then your breast cancer, which will obstruct your superficial lymph, which will make the breast skin appear like orange peel or your hue de orange. So hue de orange like this. I'll show you ha. Naman siguro ko yung picture na use from yesterday. Okay. So mahimong like orange peel ang imuhang breast. So that is your pure de orange. Orange peel in breast cancer. So the cause of that is because of obstruction of your superficial lymphatics in the skin, on the breast involved where the cancer is. Um, so for inflammatory edema, the first, the increase in vascular permeability, this is a feature, of course, of your acute inflammation, diba, if you can recall. So in acutely inflamed tissues, there is increased vascular permeability due to the separation of your endothelial cells under the influence of chemical mediators. So if you can recall sa acute inflammation discussion, the sorry. Sorry, recall na ko. And then let me take the call sa hawit lang. Guys, wait lang ha. Naalang ko emergency sa isa sa akong patients. Give me 5 minutes lang. Okay, sorry. I'm back. Um, motor shock. So the inflammatory edema, no, it is caused by your acute inflammation, your chronic inflammation, or sometimes inflammatory edema because there is angiogenesis, there is formation of your new blood vessels. So in acutely inflamed tissues, there is increase in vascular permeability, of course, because of the separation of your endothelial cells um, under the influence of your chemical mediators. So the fluids with high protein content will leak out of your permeable vessels, and then it will go to the inflamed tissue. So it will cause the tissue to swell. So mo increase po ng lymphatic drainage, but dili na niya ma-cope up ang tanan water nga na-release from your tissues, and it will then result to your edema. So mo na inflammatory edema ang mahitabo niya. So kana table na siya comparison sa different kinds of your edema. Unsay differences nila with regards to vascular permeability, to your capillary hydrostatic pressure, to your osmotic pressure, and the lymphatic flow. You can review on that. I will share the PDF copy of this lecture, Mansad. So the types of edema, localized or generalized, pitting or non-pitting, transudate or exudate. So for localized or generalized, so localized, more on inflammatory ang cause, more on lymphatic obstruction, or a localized venous congestion and pulmonary edema. So more on isa ka area ang edema, wala siya ni spread sa different parts of your body. As for generalized edema, there will be multiple involvement. So for cardiac edema, of course, if you're familiar sa kanang na mga naay heart failure, no, so dili lang ang heart ang mag-edema ana, it will also affect the lower limbs, mag-edema. Sometimes it will also affect your abdomen, mag-ascites na sila. So depende on unsa ang extent sa cardiac damage na makalead sa cardiac edema. And the nutritional edema due to your protein loss in malnutrition or in liver disease and malabsorption. And then for renal edema, katong like your nephrotic syndrome, it will start from at the eyelids and then eventually it will become generalized because of protein loss. For pitting and non-pitting edema, it is usually because depende siya sa nature of the edema. So, kung pitting gani siya, it is when there is increase in venous pressure and the osmotic pressure is decreased. So it is more marked on the dependent parts. If it is on the feet, if grabing lakaw, ambulant patient, or if bedridden ang patient, makita ang pitting edema sa sacrum part niya. So the edematous part is pressed by your thumb, and then there will be a pit na i-mark, no, nga na ma-form before na siya mo balik to its normal. So, if i-press ni mong tiil mo, lalom pa na ang area na imong i-press, niya slowly go back to its original shape after you remove the thumb. So, mo na siya pitting edema. So, ang mga areas that you can look for pitting is your foot, your ankle, your shin, and then your sacrum for bedridden patients. Kaya mo na yung mga dependent parts of your body. As for non-pitting edema, when the thumb is pressed, there is no pitting. So, it will cause edema, pero dili mo lalom ang imuhang area of edema if imo siyang i-press. So, it will occur like in your elephantiasis, your filariasis, or sometimes na ay mga types of inflammatory conditions nga makakause of non-pitting edema. And if naakay condition where there is excessive deposition of mucopolysaccharides, the condition known as your mixed edema, MYXEDEMA, mixed edema. Okay. For transudate or exudate, the edema fluid occurring in hydrodynamic derangement is typically protein-poor transudate. So conversely, if there is increased vascular permeability, inflammatory edema will occur as in your protein-rich exudate. So morphology of edema, there is swelling, heaviness, and pallor on the affected tissue. Microscopically, there will be clearing and separation of your ECM, and there is subtle cell swelling. So for subcutaneous edema, it can be diffuse or more conspicuous in regions with high hydrostatic pressure. The distribution is often influenced by gravity, so more on the legs when standing, and sacrum when the patient is recumbent or on a lying position. The feature is termed dependent edema because the finger pressure over the markedly edematous area will displace the interstitial fluid and will leave a depression. So that's why it's called your sign pitting edema. So ano to? Inig-press nimo, the subcutaneous tissue will displace the interstitial fluid accumulation. So mo nadugay siya mo balik because sa subcutaneous area of your skin there is also fat, not only your edema, the edematous fluid there is fat. So dugay mo balik ang area to its normal shape, mo na mo pit pa siya, magpiting edema pa siya. So we'll try to search a picture of a pitting edema. Ha? So kana siya. Wala siya si pitting edema, no? So after gitanggal ni iyang finger, napagihapon ang depression on the area na iyang gipislit. So that is your pitting edema. Okay. So another morphology is your edema due to renal dysfunction. It will appear first containing loose connective tissue, and then it will appear first on the areas with loose connective tissue. So the periorbital edema is a finding with severe renal disease. Wait lang, guys. Okay. Where were we? So, moto siya nephrotic syndrome no nga mohubag usa ang orbits, periorbital area before mo sunod sa other parts of the body. As for pulmonary edema, there is two or three they occur often 2 or 3 times their normal weight, and sectioning will yield a frothy or blood tinged fluid, which is a mix of air, edema, and extravasated red cells. Let me see if I can show you a picture. So more na siya frothy appearance. Wait. Wala man ko yung picture. Sige lang. And then, for brain edema, this is, the appearance will be a flattened gyrus and then a narrowed sulcus. Nga naman, because there is a compression of your calvarium. So, just like your liver, no, wala man siya space to swell ang brain kay the brain is very close to the skull, the bone, no, the skull. So, instead of mo swell siya, it will appear flattened instead. So, if it is flattened, gyri and narrowed sulci, it is already a sign that the brain is already edematous. So, clinical correlations, your hydrothorax, hydropericardium, hydroperitoneum, or ascites, and your anasarca. So for hydrothorax, there is accumulation of fluid in the pleural cavity. For pericardium is accumulation of fluid in the pericardium. For ascites, there is accumulation of fluid in the peritoneal cavity. And then anasarca, there is severe or generalized edema with subcutaneous tissue swelling. So, mo ni siya nga maapil na, tibuok lawas na ni siya anasarca na. So, ubag ang mata, dako ang kamot, dako ang tiil, pupong ang mga tudlo, mo na siya si anasarca. As for the key concepts, so this is from your book, so na-discuss na to, edema is the result of movement of fluid from the vasculature into the interstitial spaces. So the fluid may be protein poor or protein rich. So money ang causes atong tagsa-tagsa. Now let's go to hyperemia and your congestion. So these terms, hyperemia and congestion, they indicate increased blood volume within the tissues from different causes. So as for hyperemia, this is an active increase in blood volume, an active process, which will result in tissue inflow because of arteriolar dilatation. So just like in skeletal muscle exercise, during exercise or at sites of inflammation. So that affected tissue is red or redder erythema because there is increased delivery of your more oxygenated blood. See, this is just guys. Kinsa to ni raise og hand? Napislit ba to or na jud kay question ako? Yeah. What is your question, Amondina?
Ask lang ko, Doc. So, ang lahirap po na siya sa mabunog, Doc. Like kanang mlag mo hubag, ana.
Bunog
Hyperemia
is
congestion.
bruising man na siya because of kuan. Trauma man na siya. More on trauma siya. So, first, mo-appear siya as hyperemic, pula, and then eventually, when the cellular contents in that area is mamatay na siya, matiguang na ang area, mo na siya, mo bruise na siya, mo bluish na siya kay ang katong oxygenated blood nga ni migrate first sa area of trauma, nahimo na siyang deoxygenated blood eventually. So, mo lagom na siya. So, first, anak yun is hyperemia, gid siya ang mahitabo.
Ang kanang mga hiki, ana. Like kanang ay mlag mo stop bitaw, mlag na ay kaanay lakra.
The hiki is different in mechanism, pero you can still say it's hyperemia, no, initially na siya. So, kana, hala, tingala mo nganong magpulang chikinini and then mo blue eventually mo na masakpan mo sa inyong parents if na mo chikinini no kay dugay kay siya mawala. So mo na siya first ana it's really hyperemic and then eventually ang katong oxygenated blood nga niadto sa area kuan man na siya mo deoxygenate naman na siya kay pila naman ka adlaw nila bay mo na mahimo siyang blue before jud mo resolve na siya. So supposedly sa wound healing man siguro na siya under but gamay ra kay gi-touch ups atong reference book ana. Sa other reference book i-explain na siya nganong inana ang mechanism of bruising, especially number 1 because wala siya'y exit, wala siya ni dugo man na siya sa sudra man ang ragnay tissue injury but it's inside. So everything will occur the same sa kanang wound repair, only that wala siya wound itself, wala siya exit wound itself. So the process of healing is still the same siya, will migrate first ang mga neutrophils, mga platelets dito sa sites, and then eventually it will resolve on its own. So, mo na nga, magline-line po na yung color. Una, magpula siya. I think, naaman siguro na siya sa atong part 2, sa ato ang discussion next week. I will ask Dr. Floyd if i-include ba na niya ka. If not, ato na lang ipa-include para ma-appeal siya sa discussion sa hemodynamics. Okay? Sige. So, congestion, this is a passive process which will result in reduced venous outflow from a tissue. Sorry, hada akong baby diri sa kilid. It will occur systematically in your cardiac failure or locally if it's an isolated venous obstruction. So in congestion, the tissue will appear blue or red, bluish red, sorry, cyanotic or cyanosis, because there is worsening congestion that will lead to accumulation of your deoxygenated blood in the affected tissue. So with chronic passive congestion, there is chronic hypoxia, meaning that area has been deprived with oxygen for a long time. It will result to tissue injury and scarring in the area. And then there is capillary rupture, and the macrophage will consume your RBCs, and they will have hemosiderin accumulation, which will result to your hemosiderin-laden macrophage. Asa namang pictures ito, hemosiderin-laden macrophage? O ba siya? Hindi akong picture sa hemosiderin-laden macrophage. Anyway, sige, ako ipakita lang nako later. So, kani siya, this is the lung undergoing acute pulmonary congestion. So, normal lung, nasa left side, the right side is your congested na lung, which is marked by your blood engorged nga alveolar capillaries. And there are alveolar septal edema, and there is intra-alveolar na hemorrhage. So, if you can see, no, the alveolus, the lining of the alveolus sa kanang congested nga side is mas thickened siya compared sa imong normal, because the vessels, it's in itself is nag-edema siya and nag-hemorrhage siya internally. So, this is a transudative edema inside your alveoli. And then, for chronic pulmonary congestion of your lungs, so of course, dugay na siya na result. Kani siya nga appearance, nahimo na siyang chronic na condition. The appearance of your lungs will now become hard with brown spots scattered. There is brown induration. There is soggy and frothy surfaces on cut section. So the weight of the lungs becomes increased as well because nabugat na siya because of congestion. So upon microscopic inspection, there will be thickened septa. The alveolar walls are dilated. The alveolar spaces is edematous with red cells. And then there are macrophages that are present with phagocytosed red cells inside. So, kanang nasa tunga nga murag dark red appearing, that is your phagocytosed red cells by your macrophages. And then eventually it will break down into your hemosiderin-laden macrophage, and then sometimes term na siya as heart failure cells because more or less it will appear in patients with heart failure. So there is a brown induration of your lungs from chronic pulmonary congestion. So I think nani sa laboratory i-discuss po ni siya. So kani sa acute passive congestion of your liver. So the central veins and sinusoids are distended with blood, and there is even a central hepatocyte drop out due to your necrosis. So the periportal hepatocytes, they are better oxygenated because of their proximity to the hepatic arterioles. They will experience the less severe hypoxia, and they can be reversible if mild lang ang fatty change. So kana siya, the red dots that you can see are congested na veins. Dili ka na mga buslot, ka na mga red spots in the liver. Those are congested central veins. They are all congested no because of because of your oxygenated blood nga ni congest around your liver and around your portal veins. Ouch. For chronic passive congestion of liver, there is liver with chronic passive congestion and hemorrhagic necrosis. It will appear nutmeg appearance, nutmeg liver. So, oh my gosh, labaw pang tingin sa mga anak. Wait lang. I'm gonna cocomelon. Dali guys ha. 3 more slides and then we're done. So for the chronic passive congestion of your liver, so nutmeg liver. So kanang image na sa lower left, mo na siya ang nutmeg. So if i-compare nimo siya sa tissue slide sa liver above, no mura siya pare-pareha sila pattern, no. There is a century lobular necrosis and congestion with fatty changes and fibrosis. So mura siya it will look like nutmeg microscopically. Grossly, it will appear red-brown, accentuated against a yellow surrounding zone. So this is a long-standing severe hepatic congestion like your hepatic fibrosis seen in your cardiac failure. So, usahay ginatawag siyang cardiac cirrhosis. So, muna siya, the pathophysiology that will lead to congestive liver, congestive patopathy. So, your right-sided heart failure, like your constrictive pericarditis, your mitral stenosis, tricuspid regurgitation, or cardiomyopathy. This will lead to a passive venous congestion transmitted to the hepatic veins. So the sinusoids will dilate, pre-sinusoidal dilatation. It will lead to decreased oxygenation in the arteries, and it will also decrease your blood flow. So eventually, of course, it will be there is congestion na. There will be decrease. There will be congestive hepatopathy because of the dilatation of your bilobular hepatic veins, and the hepatic sinusoids, acinar steatosis, and heterogeneous fibrosis will occur as a result from the cardiac failure initially. So chronic passive congestion siya because the actual injury is in the heart, no? Naapektuhan lang si liver. So because nag-decrease ang flow sa blood from the heart failure, so ang blood supply to the liver also ni decrease siya. So, nag-congestion na noon siya. So, mo na siya, histopathologic slide is shown there. So, buhok. Okay. So, as you can see, that is, you can see the fatty change on the left side. There is your central lobular necrosis on the center. So, nanay mga lysed cells on the middle. And then, the sinusoids there, it appears darker siya nga pink because the visible, the viable hepatocytes are congested. There is more deoxygenated blood that is secreted in the sinusoids. Okay, mana. That is all for the part 1 of hemodynamic disorders. We will continue the part 2 next week as part of ang atong i-discuss next week is the embolism and siguro. So second part is mura siya ginani gihapon. It's more of a review, a detailed explanation of the overview sa atong mga acute inflammation, events, chronic inflammation. So if ma-answer to na ako mas more detailed nganong nakahiki, I will answer that next week kanang GenPat level ang explanation nganong mulagom atong hiki or ang atong bunog. And then I will post your post quiz at 3:30. And then I will close your quizzes at 4 p.m. So 3:30 to 4 p.m. And then by the way, wala mo'y laboratory session today. So you're free for the afternoon. Just make sure to answer ang mga assigned activities for your lab. Kaya di ba? As I've shown you, your grades na ay uban na niubos lang sila because they don't have any submission for their lab activities or they didn't answer the post quiz. So, hana lang sa. Thank you everyone for listening to our lecture this afternoon. May we all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.